Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. Sitting at my desk, I began reflecting on the 30 years since Melanie and I got married. My thoughts drifting back to our honeymoon and the many beautiful memories that stand out in my life. Thinking about our time in Hawaii with Melanie fills me with deep nostalgia and gratitude. It was truly an unforgettable chapter, magical from the very beginning. We seemed to step into another world, far removed from the daily grind, discovering a peace that's hard to put into words. Walking barefoot along Waikiki Beach, the sand warm beneath our feet, and the ocean whispering its timeless song, we were immersed in natural beauty. The scent of plumeria floated through the air, a constant reminder of the love and calm that wrapped around us. But it wasn't just the scenery that made our honeymoon so special. It was the experiences we shared. Wandering through lush jungles and uncovering hidden waterfalls felt like discovering nature's secrets together. Standing side by side, we were both amazed by the world around us. Our cliffside hideaway in Maui took our breath away. Endless ocean views and sunsets that lit the sky with brilliant hues became our daily rhythm. In the evenings, we shared candlelit dinners on the beach under the stars, indulging in fresh seafood and local treats. What made it all magical, though, was the love reflected in Melanie's eyes. Hawaii wasn't just a vacation, it became the heart of our love story, full of shared dreams and unforgettable moments. Now, 30 years later, those memories still live vividly in my heart, reminding me of the depth and beauty of what we shared. They reignited our bond and brought back the pure joy and serenity we found together in that paradise. Lost in those thoughts, my secretary walked into my office and caught me gazing out the window. "Joel, what's got you smiling like that? Did you win the lottery?" She joked. That's when I realized I'd been quietly content for 2 weeks. I told her my wife had been especially loving and attentive lately, making me feel cherished again, like I had during our early days. It felt like a second honeymoon, and I was excited just to spend more time with her. I felt like a teenager in love and didn't want it to end. Melanie and I had always had a strong marriage, but after 3 decades, routine tends to take over. Yet lately, she had been unusually affectionate, seeking closeness almost every night and bringing back parts of our relationship we hadn't revisited in years. I never imagined it could mean anything beyond a rekindling of our love. Eager to return the gesture, I planned a romantic evening. Leaving work early with a full heart, I picked up 24 roses, her favorite wine, and chocolate-covered cherries. I had a surprise planned, a 7-night cruise to celebrate our lasting love. But when I came through the garage and climbed the kitchen steps, it wasn't Melanie I found sitting at the table. It was our 29-year-old daughter, Bianca. I smiled, kissed Bianca on the forehead, and asked, "Hey baby, where's your mom?" 2 weeks earlier, Melanie had sat across from her daughter Bianca, struggling with a choice that weighed heavily on her heart. "Bianca, I don't know if I can go through with this," Melanie confessed. "I love your father so much. The thought of hurting him." "Mom," Bianca interrupted gently, "Dad loves you deeply. But you've been saying for months now that something feels missing, that you're yearning for something different. You've spent your whole life putting everyone else first. Maybe it's time to do something for yourself for once." Melanie looked down at her hands. "How can I look your father in the eye and tell him I'm meeting another man for dinner? It just feels impossible." "Then don't. Let me talk to Dad," Bianca said. "Axel will be at the restaurant at 7, and you'll be ready to leave by 6. I'll make sure everything's calm on this end. You just focus on the experience. You deserve to feel seen and excited again, even just for one night." Melanie's eyes were full of conflict. I agreed to the date, but the guilt is already eating at me. What if this breaks everything we've built? "It won't," Bianca said firmly. "This doesn't mean you're walking away from your marriage. It's not about falling for someone else, it's about reconnecting with yourself. And for the next 2 weeks, love Dad the way you always have. Let him feel how much he means to you. When I explain it to him, he'll understand. He's a good man, and he loves you more than anything. He's always been generous with his heart. He'll give you the space to breathe." Melanie let out a shaky breath. "Maybe you're right. It's just one evening. After 30 years of giving everything to our family, maybe one night to feel alive again isn't so much to ask." Bianca nodded, her voice warm. "Exactly. And when you come home, show Dad how much you love him. Make him feel treasured. He's always made you feel special. Just return that love. I promise it'll be okay." Melanie gave a small smile. "Thank you, sweetheart. I needed to hear that." "Anytime," Bianca said, rising from her chair. "Now I've got to get back. Mike's expecting dinner." "Tell him I said hello," Melanie replied with a soft chuckle. "And when are you two finally going to make me a grandma?" Bianca grinned. "Soon. We've talked about it. and we're planning to start trying in a few months. With that, she gave her mom a hug and headed home, leaving Melanie sitting quietly, the decision still heavy, but her heart just a little lighter. Meanwhile, Melanie found herself alone in the art studio Joel had built for her behind the house. She sat in front of his latest piece, feeling the weight of her upcoming decision. Her creative energy had been drained for weeks, tangled up in guilt and uncertainty. But Bianca's words kept echoing in her mind. Slowly, her hands began to move. Her brushes danced across the canvas, bringing to life vivid colors and emotive scenes. For the first time in a while, she felt at peace. A quiet confidence settled over her. She was doing something for herself. She knew Joel might be hurt at first, but she believed she could help him understand. He had always been an incredible husband and father. She would show him how much she cherished him. That evening, as part of her plan to shower him with affection, Melanie slipped into his favorite baby blue nightgown. After a long shower, she styled her hair, did her makeup, and greeted Joel as he returned home. Dressed in the gown and heels, she took his hand and led him to the bedroom, where she undressed him, surprising him with a long-neglected expression of passion. She pleased him intimately, and his radiant smile filled her with warmth and happiness, making her wonder why she hadn't done this sooner. "Joel, this was the best welcome home I've had in a long time," he said with genuine appreciation. "What's the occasion?" he asked, still catching his breath. "I just wanted to remind you how special you are to me and how much I love you. Did you enjoy it?" "I did. It's been so long. I'd forgotten how much I missed this." They drew each other onto the bed, sharing deep, passionate kisses. For several minutes, they were lost in the moment. It was the most fulfilling intimacy they'd experienced in years, and it left Melanie rethinking her upcoming date with Axel. Over the following weeks, their connection deepened. Their intimacy reached new heights, and Joel seemed transformed, happier, more affectionate, and full of laughter again. Melanie, too, felt more joyful than she had in a long time, and began to question whether she still needed to go through with the planned date. She shared these thoughts with Bianca. "Mom, this is amazing," Bianca said, "but don't rush to cancel just yet. Let's see how things go over the next 2 weeks. Just enjoy each other and wait it out. You can always cancel last minute, Axel will understand. But remember, this opportunity might not come again." "Maybe you're right," Melanie said thoughtfully. "Remind me again about Axel's story. I know he's your friend's father, but tell me more." "Of course. When his wife, Mary, was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, he took time off work and stayed by her side until the very end. She was the love of his life. After her passing, he was devastated. He withdrew from everything but work. When Mary and I suggested he try dating again, he admitted he didn't know how to be with anyone else anymore. Listening to him made me tear up, and I thought, maybe you could both help each other." Bianca then explained how Axel had expressed admiration for Melanie, how he found her beautiful, and how much he looked forward to simply spending time with her. "I'll give him your number," Bianca said, "and the two of you can take it from there. He's about 10 years younger than you, but I really think you'd click. He's just looking for someone to talk to connect with." The next day, Axel called. They had a delightful conversation, and by the end, he invited her to be his companion for an evening. When he complimented her appearance from a photo and expressed how lovely it would be to go on a date with her, Melanie felt a rush of giddy excitement, like a teenager again. The butterflies in her stomach surprised her. She agreed to the date and told him she was looking forward to meeting him. Though he offered to pick her up, she said she preferred to meet him at the restaurant. In the days leading up to the date, they exchanged flirtatious messages daily. With each exchange, the excitement grew. By the time the date approached, Melanie's messages had become emotionally charged ones that wouldn't pass even a casual test of loyalty. Despite the thrill of this growing connection, Melanie didn't forget Joel. In fact, each evening, she channeled her conflicted emotions into making their intimate moments more passionate and meaningful than ever. Now Joel walked around with a constant grin, and Melanie carried an insatiable desire for intimacy, something new and thrilling that she never imagined she'd enjoy so deeply. Back to Joel. "I've always loved my daughter and considered her the most beautiful girl in the world. I was so proud of the woman she had become. I often wished I had spent more time with her while she was growing up, but I worked hard to provide a good life for them and made every effort to be there for her as much as I could. I smiled when I saw her, but felt a wave of embarrassment. "Sweetheart, what are you doing here? And where's your mom?" I asked. She watched quietly as I placed 24 roses on the table, along with a bottle of wine and a box of chocolates. "I've got a special surprise planned for your mom tonight. I can't wait to see her face," I said with excitement. Reaching into my jacket, I pulled out travel documents and tickets. "I'm whisking your mother away on a 7-day cruise aboard the new yacht. Please don't say anything. I want it to be a surprise when she gets home." Hearing her call me daddy brought back a rush of memories, her sitting on my lap as a little girl. But something about her expression wasn't right. Her eyes were full of tears, and she was visibly out of breath, clearly distressed. "Dad, we need to talk," she said, a tear sliding down her cheek. Concern overtook my face. "What's wrong? Is something the matter with your mom?" "No, Mom's okay. Please sit down, I need to explain." After a long pause, she continued, "Dad, you know how much Mom loves you. She told me how wonderful things have been between you two lately." "Yes, and I love her just as much. That's why I'm doing all this for her." Seeing her tears, I knew her news wasn't what I was expecting. "I'm so sorry, Daddy, but Mom went on a date." I sat in stunned silence, trying to process what I had just heard. Her tears fell freely now, while anger began to rise in me. "Bianca, what are you talking about? Where's your mom?" I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. She flinched at the tone. "Mom loves you deeply, Daddy. Please don't misunderstand. But she went on a date with someone else and won't be back until tomorrow. She didn't have the heart to tell you herself, so I offered to do it for her. She didn't want to hurt you. It's just one night, and she'll be back tomorrow. This has to be a joke. Your mother would never do this to me. We were so close, so in love. This isn't real. Dad, she does love you, she just felt like something was missing. After 30 years of marriage, nothing is changing between you two. Except maybe she'll love you even more for being understanding." I stared at my daughter. "Bianca, why are you involved in this? Your mom shouldn't have dragged you into it. I should be hearing this from her, not you. How did this happen?" "Dad, Mom and I have always been close. We talk about everything. She told me things had slowed down between you two in the bedroom, and that she didn't feel desired anymore. My friend's dad lost his wife a few years ago, and he's been lonely ever since he needed someone. So, I introduced them." I shot up from my chair, sending it crashing to the floor. "What the hell? Are you serious? You set your mother up on a date with another man, is that what you're telling me?" Bianca lowered her head, eyes fixed on the floor, saying nothing. Meanwhile, I paced the kitchen in disbelief, trying to wrap my head around what I had just heard. "Damn it, Bianca, answer me," I shouted, looming over her. "Did you arrange this? Is my wife, your mother, on a date with your friend's dad because of you?" Spittle flew from my mouth as my anger boiled over. "I'm really sorry, Daddy. I know it sounds terrible when you say it like that, but yes, I did it because I care about my friend's parents." "Jesus Christ, what have you done? You did this out of love for your friend's parents? What about your love for me? Am I just some disposable fool you can throw aside while you play matchmaker? Where is she now? And why did you say she won't be back until tomorrow?" "They went out to dinner, Dad," she said softly. "I don't know the restaurant. And they're spending the night together. Just this once. She'll be back tomorrow. And Daddy, she loves only you. She's told me that every day for the last 2 weeks. She didn't want to hurt you. One night," I repeated bitterly. "So everything she's done lately, the affection, the closeness, that was all just guilt?" I believed her. I wanted to believe her. And now you're telling me it was all just her way of covering up this betrayal? This won't end well. Bianca, still in tears, tried to reason with me. "It's not like that at all, Daddy. She never meant to hurt you. Everything she's done lately has been real. She's been trying to show you how much she cares. Can't you give her this one night? She loves you so much and can't imagine life without you. She talks all the time about looking forward to your retirement, about spending time with your grandchildren. Mike and I plan to have kids. We need both of you." "Well, isn't that a cruel irony?" I said, voice thick with sarcasm. "That dream ended the moment she agreed to spend the night with a man who isn't me. So tell me, who is this guy?" "He's my friend Mary's dad. He's really nice. You'd probably like him, Daddy. You have a lot in common." "Oh, I bet we'd get along great," I snapped. "Maybe we could grab beers, talk shop, and take turns with your mother on the weekends. Is that what you imagined?" Bianca collapsed into her chair, the weight of her decisions finally catching up with her. My words, sharp and full of fury, landed harder than she expected. She looked like the wind had been knocked out of her, realizing just how deeply she had miscalculated. After pacing for a few more moments, I found just enough control to speak again, my voice low but laced with venom. "Listen closely, Bianca. Leave. Now. I need time alone to comprehend what you and your mother have done to me tonight. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear from you. No calls. No texts. Nothing. What you've done is unforgivable." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but I didn't relent. "You are dead to me. Do you understand? I am no longer your father. You are no longer my daughter. Get out of my house and don't ever come back." Bianca sobbed openly, burying her face in her hands. "Dad, please don't say that. I love you. I was supposed to stay here tonight, Mom, and I planned it that way. We didn't want you to be alone. The disrespect you've shown me tonight makes me wonder if you ever really loved or respected me as your father," I said coldly. "You're just like your mother. I spent years working tirelessly to provide for both of you. And this is the thanks I get? Turns out I was nothing more than a paycheck, never someone worthy of real respect. Still crying, she pleaded, "Dad, I do love you. Please let Mom explain everything tomorrow. You've had 30 good years together, and I know you still love her. Please give her this one chance. She won't leave you, she just needed this. She can have whatever she wants," I snapped, "but she'll never have me again. I can't forgive this. And everyone involved will deal with the consequences, including the man who went out with my wife." I pointed toward the door. "Go. You've shown me who you are. You still have your mother. That doesn't change. But as for me, you're no longer my daughter. Get out." Tears streaked down her face as she fled the house, overcome with a pain she'd never experienced before. She never expected my reaction to be so severe. But in that moment, she realized the gravity of her mistake, how deeply she had hurt me by helping orchestrate this behind my back. She knew how much I loved them both, but my fury had left her shaken. Silently, she prayed for forgiveness. After Bianca left, I picked up my phone and dialed Melanie's number. It went straight to voicemail. I left several messages, begging her to call me back to come home. When she still hadn't responded, even after a few drinks, I started texting her, sending the same desperate plea. Still, there was nothing. By 2 a.m., it hit me she wasn't coming back. She wasn't going to call. She wasn't going to answer. I sat there, drained and numb, staring at the television as the news droned on in the background. My world was unraveling. I thought about our 30-year marriage, all the moments we had shared, the milestones, the highs. The intimacy had become routine over time, but we never stopped showing affection. We always held each other close after, always said "I love you," always supported one another. We rarely fought. But now, those words felt hollow. My eyes drifted toward the art studio I built for her, a private space where she had created and thrived for more than 2 decades. It seemed to mean more to her than I ever did. I was proud of her success, but tonight, I felt like I had been left behind. Bianca's confession struck me harder than anything ever had. Melanie had fallen for someone else, and I'd had no clue. All those years working to give her and Bianca a good life, and I never saw this coming. She confided in Bianca, but not in me. That hurt more than anything. I thought about the house and land, my inheritance from my grandfather, in my name long before I met Melanie. No mortgage, just mine. That thought lingered. Fueled by heartbreak and alcohol, anger simmered to the surface. I needed to do something, anything, to reclaim a sense of control. I glanced at her studio again, and something in me snapped. Maybe it was the betrayal, maybe the pain, or maybe the whiskey. With a sudden burst of energy, I sprang into action. I marched upstairs, over and over, gathering every one of Melanie's belongings. And trip by trip, I carried them out of the bedroom and into the studio. I piled her shoes, clothes, and jewelry in the center of the studio. Then I went back inside and gathered photo albums, wedding pictures included, and placed them carefully on top. Remembering the attic, I climbed up and pulled down her wedding dress, baby clothes, and old keepsakes, tossing them onto the growing pile of memories I was ready to leave behind. It was staggering how much she had collected over the years. I removed her pictures from the walls, added her sculptures and sketches, everything she held dear, until nearly every trace of her was part of that heap. By 5 a.m., I was tense and exhausted. I decided to wait until 6 o'clock, giving her one last chance to respond, one last opportunity to call back or walk through that door. If nothing came by then, I'd follow through with my plan. I walked the house once more, making sure every item that mattered to her was now in the studio. At 5:30, I went to the garage, grabbed a 20-liter can of gasoline, and brought it to the studio. I had half an hour left. In the meantime, I logged online and canceled our shared credit cards, moved money between accounts, took cash from the safe, and packed a few bags, loading them into my truck. I'd be gone until a lawyer could take over. At 6:05, when it was clear she wasn't coming, I poured gasoline across the heap and along the studio walls. After a long breath and a moment of hesitation, I struck a match and dropped it. Her world caught fire in an instant. The flames spread, quickly visible even from the street. I climbed into my truck and drove off as the fire consumed everything. Out on the highway, reality hit me like a wave. The pain, the betrayal, it all caught up. Tears streamed down my face as I realized the truth. My once joyful marriage had ended, consumed by fire, just like that studio. The symbolism wasn't lost on me, but the blaze hadn't stopped with her belongings. It spread to the back porch, threatening the house. Fortunately, the fire department arrived in time to save it, though it suffered heavy smoke damage and needed significant repairs before it would be livable again. Meanwhile, I checked into a small highway motel 90 miles away, paying cash to avoid being traced. Drained in every way, I turned off my phone and collapsed into bed, sleeping until noon. When I finally woke up, I found dozens of missed calls and texts from Bianca, Melanie, and the sheriff. Meanwhile, Melanie's side of story about date. Stepping out of the Uber at the restaurant, I spotted Axel waiting for me at the reception desk. I felt a flutter of nerves and anticipation. He looked up, smiled when he saw me. I had dressed with care black dress, sheer tights, matching heels, and his gaze lingered on my cleavage, emphasized by my black bra. Earlier that day, I'd spent hours at the salon, making sure my hair and makeup were flawless. I wanted everything to be perfect for him, for this moment. He seemed to approve, especially as he subtly adjusted himself at the sight of me. That gesture alone gave me confidence. I greeted him with a soft kiss, and we made our way to the bar. Perched on bar stools, we chatted easily. When I stood to adjust my dress, I noticed him watching my legs, his eyes following the line of my nylons. We shared a smile. As he ordered our drinks, I turned off my phone, determined to be fully present. This night, I knew, was a one-time experience, but I was ready to enjoy every second. The chemistry between us was electric, and as we talked, it felt like we'd known each other for years. I found myself gently touching his arm and flirting, things I rarely did, not even with Joel. Determined to tap into a newfound confidence, I chose to fully enjoy the experience. After we finished our second glass of wine, the gracious hostess informed us that our table was ready and led us to our seats. Dinner was wonderful, the food was excellent, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. I genuinely enjoyed being in his company. When he asked if I still wanted to spend the night with him, I slipped off my heels and playfully placed my foot between his legs. His smile widened as he noticed my red-painted toes beneath the sheer nylon, and he whispered that it was time to leave. Hand in hand, he led me to the hotel room he had booked in advance. As the elevator reached the 14th floor, a wave of reality washed over me. Brief thoughts of Joel surfaced, but before I could fully process them, Axel gently pulled me closer. Our eyes met, and he kissed me with a tenderness I had never known, so romantic, so disarming. In that moment, thoughts of my husband dissolved. Tonight, I belonged to Axel, ready to give in to the moment and all it held. Inside the room, he wasted no time unzipping my dress. As it slipped to the floor, he removed his own clothes. He turned me around, complimented how I looked, and removed my bra before gently laying me on the bed. His touch was sensual, his affection genuine, and I eagerly welcomed what came next. Kneeling before him, I spent 10 minutes admiring him, overwhelmed by the intimacy. He gently helped me out of my pantyhose and asked me to put my heels back on, saying he thought they looked amazing. That simple request made me feel confident, almost fearless. Throughout the evening, he was incredibly attentive, holding me close and making me feel seen in a way I hadn't in a long time. For a brief moment, I thought I should ask Joel to be more like this, but I quickly stopped myself. No more comparisons. Then he looked into my eyes and said, "I love you, Melanie." His words struck me unexpectedly, stirring something deep and powerful. I was moved to tears, not from guilt, but from the intensity of the moment. We made love several times that night, and once more in the morning, each time as passionate and meaningful as the last. It was, without question, the most profound sexual experience I'd ever had. I felt no regret, only gratitude that it had happened with Axel. As morning light filtered through the curtains, he held me close, kissing my forehead and gently stroking my hair. "Melanie," he said softly, "I meant what I said last night. You're incredible, so sensual, so sexy. I think I love you. I want to spend more time with you. Can we see each other again?" A wave of apprehension swept over me. I answered quietly, "Axel, last night was amazing. You're a wonderful man. But I'm married and I can't do this again. It was a one-time thing, and I truly cherished it. You're an incredible lover, and I'll always remember this night." "Please, Melanie," he said, "just think about it before you say no. Your husband doesn't seem to value you, and I can make you happy. Please, just consider it." I nodded gently. "Okay, I'll think about it. But for now, this is all I can give." We shared one final, lingering kiss. I melted into his embrace, knowing that if I weren't married to Joel, I would choose Axel without hesitation. But Joel was my husband, and I hoped he could one day forgive me for what I'd done. After breakfast, we left the hotel. As Axel drove me home, I finally turned my phone back on. It had been off since our date. The previous night, to my shock, my phone was flooded with missed calls and messages. One from Joel hit especially hard, sending a sharp wave of guilt through me. Realizing how much he must have suffered and that I was the cause brought tears to my eyes. Before I could read more, my phone rang just as we were entering my neighborhood. It was my neighbor, urgently asking where I was. I told them I was almost home, only for them to break the devastating news. There had been a fire at our house. The authorities had been trying to reach me all night, but with my phone off, I hadn't known. Panic took hold as my focus shifted immediately to Joel. According to the call, He was missing. No one had seen him or been able to reach him. With a sinking feeling in my chest, I promised to call back as soon as I arrived, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation. When Axel turned the corner onto our street, I saw a fire truck and police cars in front of our home. There didn't appear to be much damage from the front, so I approached a firefighter and asked what had happened. "Are you the homeowner?" he asked, eyeing me and the man beside me as neighbors looked on. Axel stepped in and said, "She's Melanie Spencer." "Well, Mrs. Spencer," the firefighter said, "we managed to save the house. The damage is mostly contained to the back porch, but unfortunately, you won't be able to stay here until professionals clean out the smoke. Most of the destruction happened to the small cottage behind your house. I'm afraid it's a total loss." My knees buckled at the news, and Axel quickly caught me, helping me sit on the curb. "My studio," I whispered. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Spencer," the firefighter said gently. "All that's left is smoldering debris. We'll investigate the cause, but for now, the police detective needs to speak with you." I stood abruptly and hurried to the back of the property, overwhelmed with emotion. Sergeant Wilson caught up with me as I stared at the charred remains of the place I cherished most. Deep down, I feared the truth. I was certain Joel had done this in retaliation. "Mrs. Spencer, do you know what happened here?" he asked. "No," I replied quietly. "I wasn't here last night. I don't know anything." He turned to Axel. "Are you her husband?" "No, just a friend," Axel answered. Embarrassment flushed my face as the sergeant gave me a knowing look before asking, "Where is your husband?" I don't know," I said. "And where were you last night?" I hesitated, then answered, "I was with Axel at the Hilton in the city center." The expression on the sergeant's face and that of his assistant made it painfully clear just how serious this was. I had just admitted I hadn't spent the night with my husband, who was now missing. The detective continued, "Are you and your husband separated? Do you know where he might have gone?" "No, we're happily married," I said, immediately realizing how hollow that sounded after my admission. "We need to speak with him," he said, handing me his card. "If you hear from him, please ask him to call me." I was trembling, gripped by both anger and fear. Anger over the loss of my sanctuary and the years of work I had poured into it, now reduced to nothing. Fear, because I couldn't believe Joel could be so furious, and I dreaded what this meant for our marriage. I had to speak with him immediately. I called Bianca. "Bianca, do you know where your father is?" "No," she replied. "I haven't talked to him since yesterday evening." "Why didn't you stay at the house with him like we planned?" "Mom, he threw me out. Said I wasn't his daughter anymore." Her words sent a chill through me. Joel would never say something like that, or if he did, then things were even worse than I feared. Inside the house, smoke stains marked the walls, and an acrid smell clung to the air. It was clear we couldn't stay here. I began collecting clothes and essentials for the next few days. But when I entered the bedroom, my heart stopped. Everything was gone. My clothes, my shoes, my belongings vanished. A wave of panic surged through me. I rushed to my nightstand, hoping at least to find my wedding rings. They were missing too. Why had I left them behind? What had I been thinking? If Joel had seen them there, he might have believed I had given up on our marriage entirely. How thoughtless, how selfish of me. In a panic, I searched every room, but the outcome was the same. My belongings had all been cleared out. A horrifying thought crept in. Had Joel destroyed everything? Had he erased me from his life completely? I ran back to the studio ruins to look closer. Amid the ashes, I saw scorched photo frames and tattered remnants of clothing. It was clear this wasn't just abandonment. Joel had made a deliberate choice to erase all that connected us. My life, my identity gone in one calculated act. Crying, I called Bianca again, explaining what had happened and that I needed somewhere to stay. Axel kindly offered me a place, but I declined. He was the last person I wanted to see. I told him I needed time alone and asked him to leave. Though he was clearly hurt, he respected my wishes and walked away. Left alone, I sat with the weight of my decisions. I knew I was the one to blame. Yet, some part of me still resented Axel because our night together had been the catalyst. But in truth, it had been my betrayal. "Bianca, I've lost your father." "Mom, don't say that. Dad loves you." "Honey, he burned everything. My clothes, my paintings, my studio. He left me with nothing. He won't answer my calls. I've hurt him deeply, and I understand. What I did, it's unforgivable. I should have talked to him instead of going on that date. Maybe we could have worked things out. But my selfishness pushed him away. If I were him, I couldn't take me back either. What do I do now? I have no home, no clothes. Mom, don't blame yourself. I share part of the blame. And you can stay with us until everything is repaired. We'll buy you new clothes this afternoon and get you settled in by evening, Bianca. All my artwork, paintings, and sculptures are gone. 30 years of marriage and 2 decades of my creations destroyed. I'm left utterly alone, with nothing left to live for." Melanie sobbed openly as neighbors watched from the street. "Oh God, your father's calling. Struggling with the buttons, she desperately tried to answer the phone, nearly collapsing but managing to connect at the last moment. Joel, is that you? Hi, Melanie. How are you? Joel, where are you? Please come home, we need to talk. No, Melanie. I already know everything from your daughter. Yes, your daughter, not mine. You both are dead to me. This may be our final conversation. Joel, please don't say that. I love you, you should know that. The studio is gone. Did you do this? Melanie, you did it, not me. Maybe not physically, but it burned because of your deceit and betrayal. When I saw your wedding rings discarded and you giving yourself to another, in my heart, you died. Your actions are unforgivable, and Bianca's involvement is humiliating beyond belief. We're finished. I'll meet with lawyers on Monday to start proceedings. Please, Joel, can't we talk this through and resolve it? You can't just throw away 30 years like this. We are talking now, and I'm not the one who threw away 30 years. You planned this betrayal, showered me with 2 weeks of affection to ease your guilt, then betrayed me with your daughter's help. No one could accept or forgive such treachery. It was pure evil, and I hope you regret it for the rest of your miserable life. This is our last conversation. You can contact me through my attorney's details, which will come with the divorce papers. Goodbye, Melanie. Joel. No, wait, Joel. Joel. But Joel was gone, and with him, the world I once cherished. Bianca arrived just as I was finishing the call. We embraced, crying over our loss. We knew we couldn't stay in the wreckage while the fire and police investigations were ongoing, so we headed to Bianca's house. Upon arrival, she explained everything to Mike, who was shocked by the details. Bianca tried to clarify the situation, but when Mike found out she had arranged a date for her mother with another man, knowing her father would be alone, he was both appalled and furious. Bianca, you set up a date for your mom with another man, knowing Dad would be left alone? You should have known he'd never accept that. What kind of man lets his wife go on a date with someone else? Is this what you plan to do when we're older? Will you willingly betray me like Mom did to Dad? He was such a great man, and you and Mom were his whole world. What have you done? Bianca, let me tell you, you ruined a good man and pushed him to do things unimaginable. I can't express how disappointed I am in you. I'll reach out to him and apologize for your foolishness. Once this is over, we need to talk about our future. Having kids with you is on hold until I figure out where you stand. I'll be honest with you, I don't share your values, and I won't tolerate this kind of betrayal. His anger stunned her, revealing his lack of understanding for her mother's situation. It was just one date after 30 years of marriage, for heaven's sake. But then she realized the true issue wasn't the date itself, it was the end of her parents' marriage, her father's loss, and her mother's shattered happiness. Soon, they would all face the consequences of her actions. Back to Joel. 5 long days later, I returned home to assess the damage. I decided not to file an insurance claim to avoid additional costs. At my meeting with the lawyer, I made it clear the house was mine, and that was not up for debate. Melanie could have half our savings, but no child support. If she resisted, I would sue for adultery, exposing her affair with her daughter's friend's father. The divorce papers were already in motion. I also asked about pursuing criminal arson charges, but without an insurance claim, it was unlikely to move forward unless I filed a false report. A neighbor who Bianca knew from school called her when she saw me return home and go inside. Bianca hurried over. I was checking the damage and figuring out what repairs were needed when I heard the front door open. Dad, where are you? Bianca's voice echoed through the house as she came in. I stayed silent, focused on assessing the damage. Looking out the window at the pile of ashes that had once been Melanie's sanctuary, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Bianca found me in one of the bedrooms and rushed over, wrapping me in a hug. Daddy, I'm so sorry. Please forgive us. We love you. Bianca, I can't forgive either of you. I already told you not to talk to me again. Please, just let me go and leave me alone. You say I'm your daughter and that you must forgive me, but listen, you're no longer my daughter. You're just a deceitful person who broke my heart. Now leave me alone. Dad, Mom needs you. She's living with us and misses you terribly. She cries all the time and wants to apologize for her mistake. Can you come to our house and see her? Never. When she went on that date and stayed with another man, our marriage ended. She even left her wedding rings behind that sealed it. It's over, and I won't speak to her again. Both of you can reach me through my lawyer. I'm getting a new phone and number today. For now, you should go be with your cheating mother. Are you really willing to throw away 30 years of happiness with Mom? No, not me. Your mother threw away those 30 years the moment she took off her rings and went to her lover. It was you and your mother who destroyed my 30 years of happiness, and for that, I will never forgive or forget. Now get out of my house. For the second time, Bianca ran out of her childhood home in tears. Her father's words that she was no longer his daughter were devastating. Even years of therapy couldn't erase the pain of those words. The next day, Melanie received the divorce papers. She crumpled them, realizing her affair had ended her marriage. She tried to reason, went to counseling, and attempted to talk to Joel, but all efforts were in vain. He cut off all contact with her and Bianca. Eventually, Mike reached out to Joel, expressing his anger and disappointment over what had happened. He reconsidered having children because of Bianca's disloyalty and is now in couples counseling, trying to save their marriage. Melanie had hoped to return home once Joel rebuilt it, but the divorce decree made it clear the house belonged to him. She received half of their savings and was awarded $3,000 a month for 10 years, though he refused to pay. Now, after relying on Joel for 30 years, she had to find work. Moving out of her daughter's place, she rented a small apartment near the city center and took a job at an art gallery just to get by. Melanie's artistic freedom was suddenly at risk. She no longer had Joel's beautiful studio to spend her days in, nor could she sit in front of her art projects, enjoying the lake view from the large windows her husband had gifted her. Work would soon consume her, leaving no free time to reclaim the life she once knew. All her leisure vanished, along with the luxury and marital bliss lost to one reckless night with another man. She would never have enough tears to wash away the pain caused by that single mistake. No, Joel, her loving husband, would never speak to her again. Hearing that he had disowned their daughter shattered Bianca's heart. She sank into a deep depression over her parents' split. To save her own failing marriage, she sought help from a therapist. Months later, the house was repaired. Joel kept up with the court-ordered payments and eventually sold the house. Then, unexpectedly, Melanie came to reconcile, only to find a young couple at the door. "Hello, can we help you?" the woman asked. "I'm looking for Joel Spencer. Is he here?" "No, he sold us this house and moved on to a new life," they replied. "He was so kind." "Are you Melanie?" "Yes, that's me. He left an envelope for you." "I suppose. I'll read it later. Goodbye, and enjoy your new home." Tears streamed down Melanie's face as she realized she would never see Joel again, mourning the love she had carelessly lost. Back in her lonely apartment, she opened the letter with trembling hands. "Melanie, 3 decades. And to think I could have spent that time more productively, like watching paint dry or counting blades of grass on our lawn. It's almost laughable how I once believed I could be the husband you needed. Clearly, what you wanted was a circus, not a partner. Considering your antics, you wanted more, and congratulations on finally finding it outside our marriage. Bravo. Those 2 weeks you played the doting wife again. I should have known it was just the calm before the storm, a prelude to your grand betrayal. Oh, I was duped, thoroughly conned by your Oscar-worthy performance. Here I was, planning a special night to celebrate us, while you were out celebrating with someone else. You didn't just break us, Melanie, you nuked us from orbit. So I did us both a favor and disappeared. That's right. I left the circus to the clowns and moved on to greener pastures. Don't bother trying to find me. I'm buried under layers of new cities and faces that don't include yours or our daughters. Starting over. You bet. It's time for a drama-free zone. As for our home, consider it just another casualty in your war of selfishness. I sold it. Maybe the new owners can cleanse it of the stench of betrayal. You want closure? Consider this letter your final bow. Wrap it up, tie it with a ribbon, and shove it to the back of that closet where you keep all your other ill-advised decisions. Here's to your new beginnings. Melanie, may they be as fleeting as your loyalty. Farewell, from the man who once loved you, J.S. She thought she had no tears left, but after reading his letter, she cried uncontrollably all night, clutching her knees tightly. The thrill and memories of the wonderful times with Axel faded, now replaced by regret and sorrow. At 52 and alone, Melanie faced a bleak future without Joel. She had traded a lavish lifestyle for a reckless moment of pleasure. Joel confronted Axel late one night, just as Axel was about to leave for his new home in Ecuador. The door swung open and Joel stormed in, revealing he was the husband of the woman Axel had taken from him. Axel tried to justify his actions, saying he believed Melanie was consenting and that he wouldn't have pursued her otherwise, but Joel refused to listen. All the fury, wrath, and pain Joel had endured for months exploded onto the man before him. The encounter was brief but brutal. Joel used a crowbar, and within seconds, Axel's life was changed forever. Before leaving for his flight, Joel warned Axel about the dangers of getting involved with a married woman. By the time Axel reached the emergency room and reported the assault, Joel was already settling into his beachfront apartment in Manabi. He was determined to start fresh, leaving behind his past burdens and broken family. It took detectives 2 weeks to discover Joel had left the country. They realized they could do nothing unless he returned, and even then, Ecuador doesn't extradite for assault charges. Axel endured 2 painful weeks in the hospital and months of physical therapy to recover. New knees helped him walk again, But the 25 stitches across his face would forever remind him of that night and the married woman who changed his life. Uncertain about his future, Axel knew his old life was ruined by the two women who convinced him to steal another man's wife. He never contacted Melanie or Bianca again. Bianca's husband, Mike, nearly left her because of everything that happened, but with the help of a psychologist, Bianca saw her mistakes. She vowed to remain faithful to Mike and their future family. Mike waited 2 years before deciding to have children, needing reassurance that Bianca wouldn't betray him as she had her own father. Joel cut all ties with Bianca, who had lost her father's love forever because of her actions. When Melanie and Bianca learned about Axel's assault, they were devastated and overwhelmed with guilt for their part in the violence, adding to the pain they had already caused Joel and the destruction of their family. This was yet another harsh reminder that their choices had far-reaching consequences they had never imagined. Their foolish hope that allowing Melanie one indiscretion would preserve their happiness had been completely misguided. Their mistake revealed that true happiness was far from their reality. The absence of their father and husband left them with lasting sorrow, a burden they would carry for the rest of their lives. Overwhelmed by sadness and the weight of growing older, Melanie never found another partner. She lived a life filled with loneliness and regret. Her dreams of growing old with Joel and enjoying time with grandchildren faded into distant memories. With Joel having stopped support after leaving the country, their future remained uncertain and painfully empty. Her financial stability was fragile, forcing her to work just to make ends meet, while nightly tears became her new normal. Now Joel's side of story. I now hold over $750,000 from selling my house, and my savings accumulated over the past 3 decades. After purchasing my new home with this wealth, I look forward to a comfortable and peaceful life here in Ecuador for the next 30 years. The local young, attractive women appreciate a generous American, and I enjoy their company. Half a year after that dreadful night, sitting on the beach across from my new home in Puerto Lopez with a cold beer in hand, I realized that divorce is just a part of life. It's okay to go separate ways. It's okay to be on your own. What's not okay is staying somewhere you're neither respected nor valued. I will make sure I never find myself in that situation again. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.